So if you don't know yet, my name's Minna Mustapää. I was pretty sure that you know because I feel like it's always the friends and family who come to these gatherings first. So if you found your way here, I want to say a big, big thank you for supporting this mission of an inclusive city and of an entrepreneurial city. And I'm so grateful to each one of these speakers who have come here to share their expertise from their view, because inclusivity is a broad topic, and it's really hard to know, okay, from this perspective, what about from that perspective? And one thing that I would really want the Helsinki City Council to do is to talk more with these experts, ask them, and to have more of these conversational events where we're actually hearing from the experts, the associations, the companies who are doing the work, who are in that field, and really know and use that know-how in the developmental processes from ideation to all the way to execution. But without further ado, it's my great joy to introduce our first speaker, Hannu Medina from We Speak Gay.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the invitation to talk about LGBT inclusion. My topic is LGBT inclusion combines social sustainability and good business. You could also write there LGBT inclusive communication combines social sustainability and good business, or LGBTQ tourism combines social sustainability and good business. I've been working now for 7 years to promote Finland as an LGBTQ-friendly destination and educating companies what it means to be LGBT inclusive, how they should vocalize, visualize, and symbolize LGBT inclusion. And the topic is very much to do about business, how to make business with LGBTQ people, but how to do it in an ethical and sustainable way. And the reason why I started my business in 2018, I launched the page Gay Travel Finland, because I realized that Helsinki and Finland as a country, we really didn't promote ourselves as an LGBTQ-friendly destination. And this is a 200 billion euro market, so it's a big industry around the world. So that's why I started the company Medina Helsinki Communications, to make it very visible for travelers that Finland is LGBTQ friendly. But I didn't even understand in the beginning what it means. So when I launched the Gay Travel Finland site at Matka Travel Fair in 2018, I traveled to Berlin, I traveled to Brussels, I traveled to Madrid, I traveled to New York, having this message that we always have: Finland is equal, Finland is safe, welcome. And then they started asking, what does it mean? What are you doing? Do you have like travel agencies that are LGBTQ inclusive? Do you have like tour operators? What about events? What about media? What about like experts? And I was like, what? Is this what we need? And then I came back to Finland and started educating companies. When I'm talking about LGBT community, I'm always thinking about the global community. I never think about LGBT community in Helsinki. For me, it's always a global community. And especially when talking about travel and tourism, we should always think about the countries and the reality where these travelers are coming from. And even today, you have to remember that in every third country in the world, homosexuality is still criminalized. And when it comes to the rights of trans and non-binary people, this kind of level of legislation that we have in Finland, it's only in about 20 countries. And of course, what's happening in USA at the moment, it has a big impact on attitudes and things that are happening around the world. Even in Europe, in Hungary, they just banned pride. So there are really scary things happening around the world. And then, of course, Finland, the happiest country in the world. What's the situation here? We normally think that Finland is very progressive when it comes to legislation, but when the European Agency for Fundamental Rights made a survey, they made like regularly investigations how LGBTQ people are doing in different countries. In 2019, when they asked LGBTQ people, can you be totally open about yourself in your workplace? Only 8% of Finnish LGBTQ people said, yeah, I can be totally open about myself. And we were one of the last countries in the world. Behind us was only Latvia and Lithuania, where the human rights situation is totally different. So there's a kind of a dilemma that Finland is one of the LGBTQ-friendly countries in the world when it comes to legislation. But in this aspect, it looks like we are very homophobic and transphobic. But all this means that as an LGBTQ person, you always need to think when you go to a new destination, a new company, how are they thinking? What are they thinking about homosexuality? And if you don't know what are their attitudes, it's always safer to be in the closet. And LGBT inclusive communication is, in my experience, the thing that is lacking in Finland. We are not very communicative in general, but especially when it comes to LGBT inclusive communication, we are doing really bad. And this is why I have been focusing on the We Speak Gay initiative, which is like an initiative that promotes inclusivity, but most of all, is about raising awareness. Because when I go to a company, when I go to a destination, whether it's in Helsinki or in Utsjoki, everybody assumes that, well, of course everybody's welcome. It's obvious. And then I always need to ask, is it obvious for you? But what about me? How can it be obvious for me if you don't tell me that I'm welcome? And we are focusing very much in the We Speak Gay initiative in the communication, how just by making your communication more LGBT inclusive, how you can bring safety and how you in a way can give us like permission to be open and to be visible. And there's already like around 200 destinations, cities and companies and events that are part of the We Speak Gay community. One big change that has occurred during these 10 years that I've been doing my business is that in 2018, I was still telling people that there's around 5 to 6% is the share of LGBTQ population. Now, based on the nuorisobarometry, 20% of Generation Z feels like they belong to the LGBT community. Even more striking is the family barometer results, perhebarometry, where half of women under the age of 35 years feel like they are bisexual or pansexual. So it doesn't matter what is the gender of the person that you feel attracted to. So I say that Finland and the world, but maybe first now in Finland, humanity is moving towards a post-heteronormative society, but the society is not following. So there's a huge gap when it comes to brands, when it comes to employers, that they don't realize that when especially the Generation Z is entering the market, the workforce, you need to take into consideration this change. And I would say that the brands and the employers, they don't realize this yet. What makes this hard to understand? I talk about tolerance, blindness. Of course, the big challenge is homophobia and transphobia. The world is a homophobic place. Finland is a homophobic place. Helsinki is a homophobic place. But I don't put so much attention to these people. My challenge is the open-minded people, the tolerant people. I remember in 2019, I launched the Gay Travel Finland site in 2018, and Matka Fair the next year, I had a possibility to talk about LGBTQ tourism at Matka. And before I was entering the stage, there was a company, you know, in Lapland, they have nowadays these igloos where you can see the Nordic lights. So there was this guy promoting his destination and his company. I went to him and said, like, I'm talking about LGBTQ travelers as the target group for travel companies and destinations. If you're interested, you are welcome, and we can continue the discussion after my speech. The only thing he said, like, I'm not interested in your sexual encounters. So I don't want to listen to your sexual stories, but I can book an igloo for you and you can do whatever you want inside the igloo. Well, this is not the end of the story. I shared this experience in LinkedIn, which is my main social media. And the biggest comment for a lot of kind of tolerant and open-minded people was, how can this be possible in Finland in 2019? And I told, like, this is my normal life. This is my everyday life. This is the life of LGBTQ people every day. So what I'm saying that my biggest challenge is people who are open-minded and kind of tolerant, but they feel like their own bubble, their own industry, their own company is so open-minded that they think that that's the reality. And I always need to break that reality and say, no, that's not the reality. This is the reality. I always use these, probably these are familiar to you. In Finnish, you also say, tiedosta, tutki, tee. When you start talking about LGBT inclusive communication, the biggest challenge is that people don't even acknowledge that it's totally different to be gay than straight. I lived 45 years of my life as a straight man. And I know it was totally different than living now together with my husband and business partner, Raul, who is here sitting in front of me. So first you need to acknowledge that we exist and our experiences, our realities are different. And it's only after that that you can start understanding what you could do. And it's only after that that you can take authentic and kind of, it's much easier to take these actions to promote LGBT inclusion. My final is a list of the most LGBTQ-friendly cities in the world. This is not very current, but I like this because I like the criteria that I will show after these slides. What do you think about the list? Is there some?
I'm from San Francisco. I'm really offended that we are that low.
Yeah, yeah.
I grew up as a pansexual woman in San Francisco thinking that like we
Yeah.
are open and free, and what the hell? That's
Yeah.
disappointing.
Of course, this is like from 2017, but most of the time it's about the same cities that are there. And you can see that the Nordic cities, Copenhagen is number 19, Stockholm is number 30, and Helsinki is number 31.
Well, my second home is Brighton, and I'm really happy to see Brighton on that list. So
Brighton.
yeah.
That was like, I went in 1985, I went to a language course to Brighton. That was the first time I saw like openly gay men.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, criteria in this survey, Helsinki was doing really good when it comes to LGBTQ rights and safety, but not so good points in these three last ones. The dating score, how easy it is to bond and to find a partner or a friend. How diverse is the cultural life or the nightlife, and how open is the city? This kind of openness in the city score is very kind of hard to, I always say, for me, a good indication is how easy it is to take Raul's hand when I'm walking, whether I'm in Barcelona or Valencia. Actually, that picture that we had on this page is from Valencia, where we spend a lot of time. And in Valencia, which is the third largest city in Spain, it's not necessarily the big LGBTQ tourism destination, but still, all the chairs in the main square are in rainbow colors. A lot of the metro entrances are in rainbow colors. And this is a very easy way of doing LGBTQ inclusive communication in the space of the city. And it tells right away about the attitudes. I don't have to be a detective. I can like see it around me. And my last page, I think, no, I have a few other ones, but John Chanzella is the president of IGLTA, which is the International Gay and Lesbian Travel Association. And I totally agree when he says here that when we educate businesses within the tourism and hospitality sector on the importance of embracing diverse travelers, that can create pathways to change throughout local communities, countries, and the region. And I'm using the travel as a way to change Finland, to make it more LGBT inclusive, because there's a business case, and it's always easier to work when there's a clear business case. And this is also the reason why Malta and Spain are the most LGBTQ friendly countries in the world. They are the most progressive. Malta is by far the most progressive when it comes to legislation. And it's because of LGBTQ tourism. They make marketing, they see a lot of LGBTQ travelers, and they bring money, that changes attitudes, and attitudes change legislation. So the illusion of legislation in Finland is that we think that when we have the legislation there, everything is done. No, there's a big gap between the legislation and the real life. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Hannu, so much. And I realized I forgot to put the flowers on, so brighten up our day a little bit. Yeah, I remember when we met for breakfast or coffee with Hannu a few weeks back when in preparation for this event, I very much could see myself in this tolerance blindness. I was like, okay, me and my people are definitely there. So can you come share your message with us?